Hello, my name is Shelby Trickle, and this is my final presentation for emergent literacy. So, to start off, let's talk about the science of reading. It evolved from a wide span of research designs, experimental methods, participants, into statistical analysis. It is research that includes years of scientific knowledge, periods across many languages, and shared the contributions of experts from relevant disciplines such as education, special education, literacy, psychology, neurology, and more. This research provides information we need to gain a deeper understanding of how we learn to read and what skills are involved, as well as how they work together and which parts of the brain are responsible for reading development. So, we can identify the evidence-based best practices approach for teaching foundational literacy skills called structured literacy. The science of reading includes all the methods of approaches that have been found through research to give kids a learning advantage in reading. This includes vocabulary, morphology, teaching, oral reading, fluency instruction, phonemic awareness, phonics, and etc. It focuses on the amount of reading instruction provided and the quality factors that need to be included. Now let's discuss about response to intervention, RTI for short. It is a multi-tier system that provides the foundation and determines if a student is eligible for learning disability services. It provides support for struggling readers. The three tiers of reading instruction include Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3. The main point of the tiers is to help students catch up on their peers depending on the amount of intensity they need to help them succeed. Tier 1 provides the state standards of reading. It is the least intensive tier, which is determined if a student is at grade level or above their universal screening assessments. It consists of the core reading program in the classroom. If a student falls behind in a section in reading, they will be moved to Tier 2 until they are able to successfully understand what they are struggling with. Most students in Tier 1 start in Tier 1, and staff and teachers determine if a student needs to be moved to Tier 2 or Tier 3, based on the performance with the many different sections in reading. Tier 2 students receive their reading instruction in general education curriculum along with the students in Tier 1. In addition, with Tier 1, they receive small group tutoring sessions in skill-based groups. They provide extra practice for these students that focus on key skills discussed in Tier 1. The small group tutoring sessions are carried out by a variety of staff, which include paraprofessionals, special education teachers, Title I teachers, etc. Students enter Tier 2 when they score low on their universal screening or progress monitoring assessments. Tier 2 coordinates with the classroom curriculum. Tier 3 includes the enhancements of Tier 1 and Tier 2, including a more systematically designed and explicitly taught reading curriculum. Students are placed in Tier 3 when they have failed to make progress in their reading despite receiving tutoring and being a part of intervention groups in Tier 2. Small group sessions are provided for students and last about 60 to 90 minutes daily. Students who do not respond to interventions in Tier 3 require special education. It is suggested that students in Tier 3 are out in classrooms with Tier 1 and Tier 2 students during comprehension through oral engagement. Next, we are going to talk about the 5 elements of reading. These include phonemic awareness, phonics, fluency, vocabulary, and comprehension. These 5 aspects work together to create the reading experience. As children learn to read, they must develop skills in all 5 of these areas in order to become more successful readers. So now let's dive into each one. The first element we will discuss is phonemic awareness. It is the ability to hear and manipulate the smallest units of sound in spoken language. It involves segmenting and blending. Segmenting is the ability to break apart words into their individual phonemes or sounds. The ability to segment helps students strategically attack words they will be reading in a text and break words into phonemes when spelling. Blending is the ability to say a spoken word when its individual phonemes are said slowly. Blending enables students to read unfamiliar text by combining single words into new words. One method on how to teach phonemic awareness is segmenting first sound. After hearing the teacher say a whole word, students identify the first sound in a word. Another method is blending onset. After hearing the teacher slowly say the onset in the rhyme, students say the whole word. Another method includes segmenting onset rhyme. After hearing the teacher say the whole word, students say the onset. Strategies to help students who are at risk include segmenting. Teachers use segmenting signals from the formats to get unison responses from all their students. Another strategy includes increasing student responding and attention. Providing an advanced organizer is the first thing teachers can do to increase student responding and attention. Maintaining a perky pace is another way to gain student attention. It provides the most practice to maintain a perky pace by minimizing the transition time between questions and/or activities. Another strategy includes an increased support for new learning. Segmenting and blending spoken words are often difficult for students to learn. You can increase support for children as they learn these skills by first carefully demonstrating the new skill, then performing the skill with students, and finally having the students perform the skill on their own. And finally, increasing the motivation is another great strategy because it increases teachers' animated teaching level by increasing the number of times they praise their students for their hard work. The second element I will discuss is phonics. Phonics teaches students the relationship between written letters and graphemes and the 41 to 44 sounds of spoken language, or phonemes. The foundation of our approach to teaching decoding is based on a systematic and explicit phonics approach called synthetic phonics. It involves teaching the most common letter sound associations and in isolation using logical and success-oriented sequence. Students learn to apply their phonemic awareness skills and knowledge of letter sound correspondences to sounding out words and lists in sentences, as well as spelling dictation. Other phonics programs include, and strategies and methods include, analytic phonics, analogy phonics, and phonics through spelling. Analytic phonics emphasizes first teaching the whole word before analyzing letter-sound relationships. In this approach, students learn letter-sound relationships using words they already know. Analogy-based phonics emphasizes using known word family patterns to identify unknown words. Phonics through spelling emphasizes phonetic spelling as the foundation of word reading. Students learn to break apart words into phonemes and spell the words by translating the phonemes into letters. Ways to help students at risk include using decodable books containing mainly words that can be sounded out with keywords repeated at least several times during the passages. Teachers can also explicitly teach subvocal sounding out and provide practice for their students to use the new strategy. In general, the general education reading program for children who are at risk is enhanced through the use of advanced organizers, unison responding, perky pace, support for new learning using my turn, your turn, systematic error corrections, cumulative review, integrated motivational strategies, and teaching to success. Formats for teaching letter sounds correspondences, word reading, and text reading are used for large group Tier 1 instruction and also small group Tier 2 interventions. In addition, descriptions of more intensive programs appropriate for Tier 3 are provided along with strategies for English learners and older students. The next element I'll discuss is fluency. It is the ability to read text accurately, quickly, and with expression. Accuracy, speed, and expression are essential so that students can apply their fluency skills during silent reading and comprehend the text. Because oral reading fluency encompasses so many reading skills and is so closely related to reading comprehension, it is an ideal measure to use for setting annual goals and short-term goals objectives in reading. A method that can be applied is using safer passage reading. Students are called on in random and asked to read the amounts of text that vary from 1 to 3 sentences, following along with their fingers while other students read. Repeated reading and wide reading are also other methods for teaching fluency. Partner reading involves pairing students up to read a passage together. Page races is also another strategy which involves speed drills. Students are out in pairs and there's a timer, and students read the passage as quickly as possible and then stop the timer when they are done. Another strategy includes duet and shared reading, which involves the teacher and the student sitting next to each other and alternate reading words from the same story that has already been read. Expressive reading involves elements which are eco-reading and core reading. These strategies include eco-reading, core reading. So eco-reading is reading one sentence of text aloud with appropriate annotation and phrasing, and then asking students to imitate the oral reading model. Core reading involves giving your students a short poem or song that they can read with at least 97% accuracy. Other methods include thinking about your reading, reading in chunks, scalloping the text, reader's theater, and teaching intonation. Students who are at risk can use different strategies to help them with fluency. One involves reading with expression. This involves reading text using appropriate phrasing, intonation, and attention punctuation, termed prosody. Prosody is referred to a music of speech. Safer as mentioned earlier, is a method that not only is great for Tier 1 and Tier 2 students, but it's also great for at-risk students because it provides a less stressful way to read in front of class and helps that students follow along. Students who are at risk need to be carefully crafted, explicit models for comprehension. In addition, the act of clarifying content as it is read, sentence by sentence, paragraph by paragraph, and page by page ensures accurate comprehension by preventing misconceptions and/or correcting them as soon as they occur. Additional practice sessions can help develop atomic reading with increasingly more difficult text. The element I will discuss next is vocabulary. It is a set of familiar words within a person's language. The best strategies for teaching vocabulary are using names of your students in your examples whenever possible, ending a lesson by providing a practice opportunity, reflecting the students' lives with relevant questions, using the exact vocabulary from the story in your questions and as the correct responses, as well as mixing in why questions after example and non-example questions. Using synonyms to teach new vocabulary is another strategy which involves teachers using a known word to teach students the unknown word having the same meaning. Using definitions to teach new vocabulary is another way that to help is a strategy and a method that involves having a clear, understandable definition. Using text talk to teach new vocabulary involves research-based direct teaching and teaches vocabulary context using definitions. Semantic maps are visual representations of vocabulary that help students organize subject matter by having categorized labels and having categorized labels and then categories, and discuss the concepts related to the target word is another strategy, as well as using keywords to teach new vocabulary. For students at risk, extra practice must extend beyond the classroom and into community environments. The teacher also can provide students with index cards. After teaching a vocabulary word, teachers can find every opportunity to ask questions about the new word to help at-risk students understand better. Making choices is another strategy that forces students to think about the precise definition of the word as applied to authentic descriptions. The thumbs up and thumbs down method is another adaptation for a self-reflection activity in bringing words to life. It provides a review for descriptive words previously taught in class. Narrow reading can also help by directly teaching a big concept vocabulary word. The teacher can assign different texts to the same topic so that the learner encounters the word in different contexts. So for the final element I will talk about is comprehension. It is the active process of obtaining meaning from written text. Explicit instruction is a great strategy to use for comprehensions. Students benefit when comprehension instruction is systematic and explicit. Teachers should also ask frequent quality questions about text to ensure that their students retain information longer, understand the text with more clarity, integrate information from the text within their own knowledge, and become critical thinkers. Collaborating a wait time before asking questions is another great strategy. Wait time is a silent pause between the last word and the teacher says and the question the teacher says, and then in the question the student says is the first word the student says by answering the question. Summarizing is another strategy that helps students identify the main ideas in expository text and recognize important story elements in narrative text. Self-questioning is another strategy which involves asking questions so students can reflect on what they are reading. Ways to help students at risk includes many different strategies. Scaffolding incorrect answers and no responses is another strategy to help students at risk. It increases support and uses the 4-step cue cluing procedure so that the students who do not normally answer questions develop a confidence in skills to being participating. Modeling comprehension skills through think alouds is a strategy by which a teacher models the active thinking process that skilled readers use and teaches students these skills. Graphic organizers are also helpful, which are visual representations of information to help depict relationships between fact, terms, and ideas within the learning tasks. So that is my presentation, so thank you for listening.